For the upcoming right-hander, brake 30 meters later and ease off the pressure.
Hello everyone and welcome to the very first broadcasted event for Trophy AI. It is the Trophy AI GR86 Community Cup, the very special one-off event that we are doing here at Virginia International Raceway. My name is Daniel Handover, and joining me in the commentary box today is Rue. Rue, welcome. This is one of the first things, one of the first commentary things you've actually done, so it'll be exciting as a nice way to kick this off for Trophy's first one.
Yeah, absolutely. It is the first one, not just one of the first ones, and I'm excited for this race. It's going to be fun. So thank you very much for inviting me up into the box to talk about some of what's going on track.
No problem at all. It's going to be very exciting. So, yes, like I said, the GR86 Cup. The GR86 has got a lot of love, and for a good reason. It is a fantastic car. So, as you can see on your screen, a bit of race information. We are, as I said, at Virginia International Raceway. We're not on the full course, though. We are on the north course, so slightly shorter. 2.25 miles, 168 meters of elevation, and the start time mid-afternoon. Since the start of this session, though, temperatures have crept up somewhat. So what you see on there, where air temp is 26 degrees and track is 19 degrees, which we will show you during the latter stages of qualifying, that has crept up ever so slightly. I believe, Rue, we're looking at probably about 60 degrees, aren't we, track temp?
Yes, we are. Yeah, the sun has been beating down on this Virginia asphalt today.
Indeed. But that is going to make for some interesting racing. We were actually talking about this before the broadcast kicked off. This is going to have a major impact in tyre life. And that's something that we're going to see during the two races. First race that we're going to be doing is going to be a heat race 15-minute sprint, all-out sprint. Really just pretty much as fast as you can go and try and manage your tyre life, but it's not that important. The feature race, however, 30 minutes, a little bit longer. There's a bit more strategy that comes into that. Now, there's no pit stops for either of these races, but yeah, like I said, there is some strategy involved, mainly around the tyre life, because even a pretty light car like this, you know, the way you drive the GR86 is you need a bit of slip angle to get the car really doing as much as you need it to. And that does have an effect on how hot the tyres get and really how quickly they're going to wear. So people are going to be trying to understand, is it worth going a little bit faster to start with and trying to just manage the tyres or save them a little bit? There's actually quite a bit of strategy involved. So we'll see how this goes. But as we move down into the latter stages of qualifying, we have a 12-minute qualifying session, and we're going to jump right on track so we can actually see who is doing what. Now, as we're watching people doing their sort of final stages of the qualifying session, Rue, you've actually driven this track more than I have. So when it comes to the North course, because I have a very soft spot for the main course, I will admit. It's one of my favourite tracks.
It's a beautiful track.
It's a lovely track. The one thing, though, with the North course especially, there's not that many sort of big braking zones, which can become a problem when it comes to overtaking opportunities. So, you know, give us a little bit of a talk around the lap if you can.
Of course. Well, here we're looking at, I think it's turn one coming in around here. This is obviously one of the biggest braking zones on the track, and that's where we'll probably see the majority of the overtakes coming into there. It's a very, very fun track. There's a lot of flow to it, and even though I think there's only 2, maybe 3 overtaking opportunities, they're opportunities that you have to make for yourself several corners before the overtake happens. So that overtake into turn one is going to be, you need to set that up back 2 corners earlier, 3 corners earlier. Now we're following down here. This is where we're going to see some more overtaking. The draft is very, very strong on this track, and we're running a high downforce setup, which makes the draft even stronger. Throwing it in there up the inside is always a possibility, but it can end in tears, definitely, because that's you've got to be brave to do that, and the other guy's got to be aware that you're going to do it. Through here on the top, this is a straight line. There is only one line through here. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Apparently there's 2 lines, but that's not the fastest line. And then coming down here, this is the roller coaster section, it's called. And this is where you're setting up the overtake, really, for that first corner where I was talking about earlier. So here you want to back off a little bit, and if you're good, you get the line right, you can get on the throttle way before the guy in front. Hang on to the draft, and you can see already we're closing in on this car, and we should get the overtake done halfway down this straight, if not even slightly before.
That's incredible, actually. I didn't realise how strong the draft is going to be.
Yep.
Yeah, like I said, Rue, you've done this track a lot more, especially the North course, much more than I have. So just looking as we've got, going into the final minute and a half of qualifying, Joel Singleton is pretty streaking away with the current lap time, 1:34.412. And then in saying that, the top 5, I would say, well, less than a second between the top 5. So Brett Bones is in P2, Seb Brown P3, Matt Warner in P2, and Euros Huzjak rounding out the top 5. So it is pretty close. So we're going to see some, we're going to see some pretty good racing. Joel and Brett, neither of them are actually out on track. So they've decided that that's about as fast as they're going to be. Singleton doesn't really need to do much more, but I thought Brett might have another bit of a crack at it, but he's decided that that is all that he wrote for that particular session. Seb Brown, though, having another go as we look into the time delta. And what I would like to actually look at as we can now see on the screen here, the sector times. These are interesting. We're going to see, again, like I said, in the 15-minute to the 30-minute race, there's going to be And we're going to talk about this a lot. We are going to talk about a lot of strategy because we are going to see a very, very high amount of tyre degradation. That is the key thing there. So, Rue, again, we were talking about this before the session kicked off, but we're going to see a pretty high amount of tyre deg, aren't we?
We are going to see a lot of tyre deg, and I think that's where we're going to see Brett come to the fore. I think Joel is very, very fast over one lap. I think he'll be tempted to streak out ahead and potentially cook his tyres. Brett, I know from a while back, and he's an endurance racer. He knows how to think strategically, and he knows how to look after his tyres. I certainly wouldn't count out Dave Lehman either. I know he's in 6th, but he's a very, very savvy racer, is Dave Lehman. And Matt Warner sitting there in 4th. He's won the last 3 leagues. I apologize. So I think we're going to get good racing up the front, definitely.
Sounds good. We're looking forward to it. Apologies for the small little problem that we're having with the overlay titles. They haven't quite saved as they should have done, so just gloss over that bit. But running through your grid, though, before we do get on the grid for the warm-up lap, I believe it is we're going to see how long the warm-up lap is. It might be half a lap, but we'll see how we get on.
No, I think we're going to get the full lap.
Are we going to get the full lap? Fantastic. So we got a little bit. Yep. We got a little bit of time. That's absolutely fantastic. So first race, 15-minute sprint. Now, the 15-minute sprint, I'm pretty sure we're both comfortably going to be saying it is just going to be an all-out battle. It's just, there might be a little bit of tire life that people are going to have to look out for, but I mean, personally, I can't see much in the way of people looking after their tires here, to say the least.
No, I don't think they will. But I think it could bite them on the last lap or the last 2 laps. I think they were mentioning in practice 5 laps, even looking after them, and they're starting to get warm, a bit too warm. So I think even 15 minutes on the last lap, there could be something, people starting to slide.
Interesting. Well, that will be something that will probably also be definitely doing some onboard cameras, so we can see how just so we can see what the drivers are doing. But let's run through your grid. So, pole position with a lap time 1:34.417. Didn't manage to get any faster than that, but what a lap time it was. Joel Singleton is in pole position. Brett Bone, just half a second down in P2. Seb Brown P3, Matt Warner P4, Euros Huzjak in 5th, David Lehman in P6, Jamie Baker 7th, John Schneebel in 8th, Justin Fafinga, apologies for the name pronunciation there if that is wrong, in P9, Thomas Notto in 10th, Francisco Firmino in 11th, Alan Davies in 12th, and then if we drop just a little bit further down, we can see there Jesse Chase in 13th and Daniel Lewis in 14th. Both of those drivers not setting any lap time, so they just managed to get in before the race began. So be interesting to see if they can work their way through the field. That could also be something if there are drivers that really, not for a lack of a better word, not where they should be, then we may see them starting to move forward. Turn 1 is going to be interesting. Turn 1, big braking zone, the biggest braking zone of the track, effectively. That's going to be a very interesting thing. There's going to be a little argy-bargy, I'm sure there will be. But
absolutely,
as long as everyone keeps relatively sensible. Also, these cars, we're also going to talk about this in length as well as the races progress. This car is a momentum-based car. That's a very important point, right? It's a very important thing to keep an eye on. These cars are momentum based. There is going to be a situation where someone is going to make a very small mistake, seemingly insignificant, and they are going to drop 2 or 3 places if the pack is close. So we need to keep an eye out for that.
Absolutely, and it's a very late apex into turn 1 usually as well, which is going to encourage people to slide up the inside. It's going to look open, it's going to look inviting, and that gap's going to narrow. So people have to be aware.
That is also very true as well. As you say, it's a late apex. I mean, there might even be a little bit of a look. People can get run out of turn 1 into turn 3. It's a very, very... Personally, I've not done any commentary around VIR before, so this is going to be new for me. Obviously, I've raced here a fair bit, but, I've not done commentary around here before. But
here we
just
are.
About to go. So, the lights are on. Someone's blinking. Hopefully that doesn't continue, but... waiting for the lights to go out. It's a rolling start, by the way, no standing start here. Who is going to get the jump? This is gonna be seeming like an age to wait before we finally go for the drivers, but this is actually probably beneficial for Joel. He wants to keep this as much as we go. Green flag, and away we go. Joel actually getting a pretty good start. Brett Bones on the inside. That's actually a really clean start by pretty much everyone. No one really seemed to get the jump. Joel goes a little bit defensive, doesn't try much on the outside though. He keeps it tight. That's all actually really clean. Seb Brown, Brett Bones does now take the outside. It's going to be a long run around the outside going into turn 3. Who's going to make it? It is Brett Bones actually manages to make up the spot. So he's now in P2. A little bit further down, Matt Warner and Husjack going to go side by side a little bit going into turn 4. They managed to make it all clean. Everyone's through the first sector pretty cleanly. Still side by side between Warner and Husjack, who I think is going to be Warner that does make that stick. Yes, so Warner in 4th, Husjack has to settle for P5. But everyone pretty cleanly through the first couple of corners, which is absolutely fantastic. Although the top 3, Singleton, Bones and Brown, have already made a break for it. There's about 2 or 3 tenths of a second. Bones had a massive moment there. That's going to open the door. That's going to open the door massively for Seb Brown. Is he going to have a look? To be honest, I thought he was going to make a move then. I really did think there was going to be a move there, but he manages to...
I think he thought about it, and I think he thought better of it.
Yeah. But this upsets the battle. You know, Bones might take him a little bit of time to get his rhythm back. What this has done effectively, though, this is now just let Joel Singleton sail off into the distance. He's already got 7 tenths of a second between himself and P2, which is the battle that we're seeing on track now. A little bit further down the order, everyone's still managing to make their way through. So everyone is through the first lap nice and cleanly. Well, I mean, as first laps go, that was pretty clean, but we had a little bit of battling there as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It was nice to see everybody being very respectful on that first lap. But yeah, Brett Bones and who's he fighting? Sorry,
Seb Brown.
Seb Brown. That's right. Yeah, they're slowing each other down slightly and letting Joel get that run. I think they need to maybe work together. Oh no, they're not working together.
No,
they're not working together at all. They want this. Seb wants second.
He does,
Brett
doesn't he?
Does not want to let go of it. Absolutely.
No.
But you see, this is interesting because this is now all the way down to 6th. Now we've got 5 cars line astern. They're bringing everybody in. This is what you were saying at the beginning. This is exactly what you were saying at the beginning. You know, just a little bit of contact, a little bit of a slip or a slide, and we've got 4 cars right on top.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like I said, a small little mistake, and really this all actually stemmed from Brett having that moment in the first lap. It really all stemmed from that. If Brett didn't have that moment, I mean, in saying that, Brett has actually pulled out 6 tenths of a second on Seb Brown in 3rd, but another mistake like that, and once again, it's all going to come back. But like you said, if we look at the battle now, which is all the way pretty much down to 7th, this is a very, very close battle, and it could very well stay like this. The closest battle actually on track is between Matt Warner once again and Husjack, which we can is your main car on camera now. But Singleton does make it. Well, that was.
Look at Husjack there. I was just about to say Husjack is not afraid of making a lunge either, just getting in people's mirrors. So I think we could see something.
Warner going very defensive though. He's going very defensive, which I think is probably where it is. There's a little bit of contact there, nearly, but he manages to make it stick. That was a very, very nice move from Husjack there. But is Warner going to have a little bit? I think Warner's got the run going to turn 3. Yes, he manages to keep it, but for how long? They're side by side. Husjack decides to go a little bit of grass cutting, and he's lost 2 positions. Again, a small little mistake. Well, I say small, he did go off the track, but seemingly a mistake that shouldn't really have cost that much time has cost him 2 positions. So Lehman is now up into 5th, Warner 4th, and Seb Brown. And again, after all of that, what we were thinking that Brett Bones was going to have more than one person really hassling him. As it turns out, he's really only got Seb Brown to worry about as it stands.
Yep, and that's closed up a little bit as well. I think. Oh no, it's 6 tenths again, but it was 4 or 5 tenths for a second. And yeah, I mean, as I said, Husjack can be very aggressive and very, very fair, but aggressive. If he sees a gap, he's going to go for it. And I think, you know, he's a very good driver, and he's developed a lot in the league. I want to say, if you want to develop as a driver, come hang out in the league. It's a good place to practice this kind of close battling. It's great.
Very true.
And let's see what else. Yeah, what else have we got going on?
Yeah, looking a little bit further down the field. So we got a battle for, excuse me. We've got a battle for 8th place here. This is Justin and John, as they're having quite a little bit of battle. I mean, again, battle is, it's one of those things where, actually, we're probably going to have to, we're going to have to jump back to Brett Bones and Seb Brown, because once again, they're side by side. We might have to see if we can find a replay of that, because I'm not entirely sure what happened. There was a swap of positions, but that has now seemed to have resolved itself. But Lehman and Huzjak, this is still a bit of a battle as Huzjak decides to go cut in the grass as well as Lehman, and that has opened the door right. They're going to be side by side, a little bit of contact, but manages to both make it stick. Not quite side by side. Lehman does still maintain that 5th position. This has allowed, though, Warner to start making a little bit of a break. Now the gap is a 2nd. So, once again, small little mistakes carry a very, very big consequence, and Huzjak is certainly looking pretty aggressive. So, as you said, Ru, I'm sure there'll be a move that will be made very, very soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Warner, though, if you give him a bit of space, he's going to take full advantage, and I think he's going to start really trying to make progress down now towards Seb up there, and especially if Seb and Brett can. Oh, he says as they go side by side again through the.
This is actually Seb had a moment.
This is
no. Seb sorry, this is Matt Warner, Lehman, and Huzjak. Sorry,
this is Matt Warner, Lehman, and Huzjak. Yep, still. Having a good old ding dong, swapping positions backwards and forwards.
It's really kicking off. I really didn't think it would be like this this soon, but they are both side by side.
They're side by side. Warner's going to be dragging them down here as well with that draft. They'll still be draft behind him. So, and they've got the inside.
Got the inside, so Huzjak does manage to make it stick. Oh, Lehman's had another moment, dips a wheel onto the grass, but does manage to keep it going, although that's now going to let Jamie Baker have a bit of a look on the number 14 of Lehman. So we'll see, manages to make anything there. I wonder if he backed out of that, just to be on the safe side, which is completely understandable. You don't want to...
I think he probably did.
You don't want to capitalise. I mean, there's capitalisation, but you want to try and make progress, but at the same time, you don't want to do it in a way that sort of puts the other person in a massive risk of an incident. One of the battles actually that has sort of settled somewhat is the number 12 and the number 3. This is Justin John, and also Thomas we can't forget about. He's having a little bit of a movement, a sort of move. He's trying to catch up on the back of this battle for P8. And there's another battle a little bit further down the order. Francisco Firmino and Daniel Lewis are having a right old scrap for P11. So there's battles all the way up and down the field. So we've got plenty to be looking at and commentating on.
Yeah, and Firmino is all over the back of... No, sorry, that's Lewis, isn't it? Lewis all over the back of Firmino, with Francisco getting a bit defensive everywhere. It looks like. It's very interesting.
Which, I mean, to be fair,
is do out of here. I mean, here we go.
They're all entitled to do.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely they are. And it's encouraged, positively encouraged. Here we go. So getting a bit of side draft. Going to go for the outside. Firmino's gone defensive already.
Which, I mean, to be
Very
fair,
defensive.
is probably the sensible thing to do. If you can park it on the apex, which I think Firmino is going to do very, very nicely, actually.
Yes.
It's a hard thing to do, isn't it? Normally, you have a tendency to run wide, but at the same time, because, like we were talking about earlier, this car is momentum-based. So, actually, Daniel Lewis has done really well, and Firmino's actually gone grass cutting.
There's that momentum.
It certainly is. Exit stage right has Firmino. So he's now dropped. I think manages to keep it out of the barrier, which is good. So he is still going, but that has unfortunately opened that gap up massively. So it's going to be a bit of a struggle for Firmino to catch up that 5-second deficit now, unfortunately. But you never know. Never say never. There could be a lot of stuff
absolutely
ready to go. This is still the battle for P8, which is still ongoing between Verfinger and Schneebel. So we'll see how this develops. I've noticed that Notto has dropped off a little bit. The gap is now just over a second, or it's sort of dipping between that second, just over, just under. If the 12 and the 3 do start battling, that may develop and that may change. We've only actually got 6 minutes or 5 minutes left of this session. We haven't got very long left before we're going to be calling the checkered flag, and then we start going into the 30-minute race, which, again, we're going to see a lot of different strategies here. Up the front, though, I mean, I know he hasn't had much screen time, but, I mean, to be fair, he's just been sort of doing his own thing. Joel Singleton, the gap is
absolutely
4
solid.
seconds.
It is, and we're going to now. The big test will be in that 30-minute race, because remember, we've got a top 8 reverse. So if and I don't want to put the commentator's curse on this, if Singleton brings it home in first, he'll be starting in 8th in the next race. So he'll have traffic to work through, and we'll see what he can do when he doesn't have clean air.
That is very true.
But not to get ahead of ourselves.
Well, no, exactly. We've got a few more laps to go with this first race. As I was mentioning that, just last lap, Notto's actually caught up. I wonder if John has had a little bit of a moment at the number 3. He might have had a little. Although in saying that, Notto has really stepped up in terms of really put in a really solid lap times, a 10th quicker than the 12 and the number 3. So I wonder if Notto could have kept his tyres a little bit. I'm not entirely sure what's happened down there. That was a bit of... Okay, there was definitely some contact there. We're going to see if we can grab a replay of that. Not entirely sure. Has he got damage? He actually lets Jamie Baker through, so I wonder if he's just getting back up to speed. Matt Warner is catching him at a rate of knots, so Matt Warner might have a little bit of a look as well. What has happened? I think Huzjak's got damage,
I think he's got damage. I think he's...
Oh... He's having a bit of a moment as Justin decides that he wants to try and get through as he goes down into turn 10. I wonder what happened there. I don't know. Maybe he doesn't have damage. Maybe he was just really trying to take it easy and just trying to get back into a rhythm. Is he going to go in the pits? We'll find out. No, he doesn't. So he doesn't decide to go in the pits.
No, he doesn't. I think he was just having a breather.
Yeah, we'll try again. We'll try and get a replay of that. But that has actually closed the gap up. So as we've now got here, Justin and John, Thomas is 7/10 behind. So this might play into his hands very nicely as well as they go side by side down into turn 1. Nothing there, though. Is there going to be a bit of a cutback? I think there is going to be. The number 3, John Stiebel, does make the move. Lovely move there. Really, really parks it on the apex, gets it rotated. Nice drive out of the corner. That was a textbook move going into turn 1. That was really close. That was much closer than I think we were wanting there.
Yeah, yeah. But see, that's what turn 1 invites here. Absolutely. It's such a, you want to hold the momentum, and it's such a wide entry that it leaves that space open on the inside. And once you're alongside, then you can really get it, and then you have momentum. If you take that line through the inside, you have momentum, and into turn 2 and 3, you can really take advantage of it. It's a lovely corner for overtaking and setting things up turn 1.
Certainly is.
What do we got here?
I'm not. Do you know what? I'm trying to actually see what happened, and I'm actually struggling to find out what happened to Euros.
It was at the top of the hill, wasn't it?
It was. So, yes. I wonder if we can stay on for a little bit and just see if we can actually catch what happened. But I mean, they were both going slow, weren't they? So Warner and Huzjak were both going slow. So I wonder if it was just, okay, this is going to be a move that's not going to go well. Well, is there a...
No.
Okay, yeah, no, that didn't go well. I mean, not as bad as it could have gone.
Not as bad as it could have gone, but it could. I think it wasn't really going to work. That's another one of those wide entry corners you see.
Certainly was.
That it looks like there's a gap, and then there isn't. That was always going to close, I think.
It was, and as we could see just in the tail end of that replay there, Warner not particularly happy flashing his lights as Huzjak, which I can certainly understand.
I can understand that.
I think Huzjak did let, I'm assuming that's what was happening, is he was letting Matt go, though, which was, I know that there obviously was a bit of contact, but Huzjak did let the position go back to Warner. So they're now even Stevens, but the person that really came out well for that was Jamie Baker. He got 2 free positions. He started in 7th. He's now up to P5. Although in saying that, I think...
Is Warner... Are we going to get history repeating itself?
Nearly.
Huzjak? Yep.
Oh, well, maybe.
He gives him a shove.
Yep.
Gives him a bit of a bump and run there. That was...
It was a little bit awkward. I think it was one of those where I think Huzjak may not have realised that Baker was still just about on the outside. So... yeah, again, a little bit of an awkward one to call that. I'd say, though, again, if we look, these small little things have very big consequences because now the battle for P7 is involving the 7, the 3, and the 12. So this is one of the... I think we're actually coming to the last lap as well. So this is going to be something that... we've got 2 more laps to go, I believe. Sorry. So 2 more laps to go. Singleton is still just sort of disappeared off into the distance, racing a different race really at this point. And we're still looking at the battling through here. Schneebel does have a run down into turn 1. He's going to take the outside as Baker goes defensive. Not too defensive though, so he tries to open up the corner as much as he can. Parks it on the apex. Schneebel can't really do much for that, and that's now opened the door potentially for Justin. I thought there was going to be a move there, but I think Justin got a little bit caught out by how much John sort of had to check up there into turn 1.
Yeah, so I think he got checked because that cutback, being on the outside and coming back underneath has seemed to be the really effective move so far this race. But yeah, the car in front just slowed slightly more than he was expecting and didn't give it. There wasn't that space to fit into and come back underneath, and he couldn't quite take advantage of it. Had to check that momentum, as we've been saying all race.
Certainly have. One more lap to go after this, and then we will see who comes out on top. But realistically, without a mistake, it is going to be Joel Singleton. It's really who's going to be the battle, is who's going to come out on top further down the field. Warner and Huzjak still fighting. Huzjak is going to have another look. Is he going to try? He's definitely having a look. They're going to go. He's actually forcing Warner's forcing Huzjak to go around the outside, becomes the inside for the second half of the roller coaster, and also becomes the inside for 12A and subsequently outside for 12B. There's still more contact between the two, but they're side by side. Who's really got the better drive? Huge incident. Oh no! My goodness, it's all gone wrong. What a monumental shunt between both of them, between the 1 and the 11. Oh my good. Okay, yeah, that's Huzjak. That's definitely not driving
there.
straight. Oh my goodness me. We're going to have to get a replay of that from a different camera angle. That was monumental.
Yeah.
That's a shame. Actually, sorry, I apologise. I didn't realise the lap timer was actually wrong. So, that was completely my fault. I don't know where I was going with that. Joel Singleton does take the win. Brett Bones in P2 and Seb Brown your top 3. But, wow, that was... What a way to end that first race.
What a last corner, yeah. Absolutely. So
I was very surprised. Let's see. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to get a replay of that. But we will have a look at the results in a few moments' time.
Yeah.
But
I'm sure we can pull a replay off and throw it up on the channel a little bit later if we so desire.
Well, that is very true. Yes, we will absolutely be able to do that as well. We're going to go for a short couple of minutes break, and then we will be back. So there's a 5-minute warm-up that the drivers will be going through, a 3-minute warm-up, sorry. So we're just, like I said, we're going to take a minute or two break, and then we're going to come back ready for the 30-minute feature. So stick around, and we'll be back in a few moments' time.
For the upcoming right-hander, brake 30 meters later and ease off the pressure.
Hello everyone, welcome back. Thank you for sticking around for that short little intermission for myself and Rue. Just have a quick breather because Rue, a lot happened in that first race, didn't it? Especially at the end.
It certainly did. I mean, that last corner incident there between Matt and Uros was it was on the cards all the way over the top of the hill. You know, they were side by side through areas where you don't usually get side by side, and neither of them. They both wanted to see that finish line first.
They certainly did, and unfortunately, because of that, neither of them saw that finishing position as they wanted it to. But now, as we're on the warm-up lap, we've got the grid for the main feature race. Now, this is 30 minutes, double the duration of the sprint race that we just had. So effectively, you know, if you haven't watched these sort of leagues before, imagine, and you watch Formula One, same principle, right? So the sprint race will be the shorter race, and then normally you'll have the full feature race the following day. Obviously, in our case, it is just one after the other. So double the distance. And if we go through the grid, this is what it looks like. Remember, we do have a top 8 reverse grid. So Thomas Notto does take pole position. Justin Favinger takes P2, John Schneebel takes P3, Jamie Baker in 4th, David B. Lehman in 5th, Seb Brown 6th, Brett Bones in 7th, Joel Singleton in 8th. Now, obviously, that was your top 3, Singleton, Bones, and Brown. That was your top 3 for the sprint race. Daniel Lewis takes P9, Yura Suzjak in 10th, Francisco Firmino in 11th, and Matt Warner in P12. If we go a little bit further down, Alan Davies and Jesse Chase. Neither of them actually started the first round, so the sprint race. So hopefully we will see them on track, but I don't believe they are. As is Francisco Firmino. He didn't quite make it to the grid in time, so he's going to be starting from the pit lane. So we will have to see if that has, and if he can make up some positions, which all being well he will be able to. Apologies again for the small error that we are having with the broadcast graphics, as you were just seeing on your screen. But a couple more corners to go, and we will be underway for the 30-minute sprint, 30-minute feature race. Rue, who's your money on?
I will put my money on Brett. That's who I'm going to put my money on.
Interesting.
I think he's got the head for it.
Well, we don't have long to find out.
Oh, well,
actually,
let's go.
Well, we're already underway. That seemed to go pretty quickly. So another pretty even start. Thomas Notto is going to take a slightly defensive line. You can see Jamie Baker trying to take it inside line. There was nearly a bit of contact there, but Notto does manage to make it stick. Justin, number 12, on the outside. He manages to keep the run, but Schneebel, the number 3, does have a slightly better run. He's now going to be on the outside for turn 3. That's not going to work. So the number 12 manages to maintain that second place. That's a spin for Jamie Baker. That's a huge crash. I don't know was that Brett Bones? No, it wasn't Brett Bones that got in contact. I think it might have been Daniel. No, it was Brett Bones. No, Brett Bones. Yep. Look at his car. That's completely done for. That's unfortunately.
Yeah, he's done.
Yeah,
he actually had some contact with Uros as well in turn 1.
That was a big shame actually there for Brett Bones. So he will be struggling to make up any positions based on that. Even though it's a 30-minute race, he's got to get it back to the pits and get it repaired and then jump out, which I do believe we have some fast repairs. So we'll see how he gets on. A bit further down the field though, Lehman and Singleton. Joel Singleton trying to capitalise on the reverse start and making up some positions. He's only made up 2. I thought he would have made up a couple more positions than that, but I think he got just caught out by Brett Bones there, and he had to take some avoiding action, which is again unfortunate. He's dropped a little bit of time though to Lehman, but longer race there. Remember we have 30 minutes to go. So, already an opening, really interesting first lap. We're going to try and get some replays, actually. I want to see what happened there from a few different camera angles between Baker and actually see what happened with Brett Bones there. But lap 1 is done. Notto, Faffinger and Schneebel are your top 3 going into lap number 2.
And going into turn 1, we've got 3 wide.
We've got 3 wide, 2 by 2.
2 by 2, yep.
2 by 2 Noah's Ark style.
And Notto holding on.
Notto's doing a very good job, actually, doing some really, really good defensive driving.
Yeah, just making that car nice and wide.
Seb Brown having a little bit of a moment up the inside. He manages to take P3. He's made up 3 positions. I think Lehman's trying to follow through, and I actually trying to follow Seb Brown through. I believe he does. So Lehman really capitalising on that. That was a nice position there. So unfortunately for John Schneebel, though, he's lost out 2 positions in the space of 1 corner. So not particularly ideal, but that has given Seb Brown a little bit of breathing. Wow, I think the number 12 was pushing Notto along there, wasn't he?
It looked like bump drafting in an area that's not normally known for bump drafting. I think Singleton is making moves as well. I think he's up to 5th following Lehman.
That is very true.
Brown, we're on board with at the moment. He's got himself up to 3rd again, which is obviously his finishing position from the last race. So he's making moves as well.
It certainly is. There's battles all the way up and down the field, like again we had before, as we're now looking back on Schneebel, who unfortunately has lost another 2 positions. So he's lost to Singleton and Uros Huzjak. So we're looking on the gearbox now of Schneebel for Matt Warner. So this is coming down onto the back straight, onto the main straight, sorry. And you know what? I don't even think we're going to need to have a bit of drafting. I think Matt Warner's going to make the position all the way down into turn 1 before he's even there.
Well, is he? Is he? Because Lehman's...
Oh, sorry to cut in, Rue. There was another massive bit of contact there. Seb Brown. Okay, there'll be some replays. We're going to try, and there's lots of replays we're going to have to try and queue up for this. But are they going to go through? I think they're going 3 wide. That's nearly 3 wide. Singleton now makes the second move. Faffinger doesn't want to let him go, so just in the number 12. That's another massive incident. Who is that involved? Is that Huzjak again?
That was number 14, I think.
Number 14, yeah, you're right. It is Uros Huzjak and David B. Lehman, so... Oh my God, there's going to be too many replays to queue up here. There's lots of stuff for us to look at. We're going to wait for everything to settle down, and then we're going to try and have a look at what went on. But my goodness, that is really...
I think Uros has damage. He's finding... Oh, and he's...
Could he even turn... I don't think he can turn left.
No.
Was he trying... I wonder if he was just trying to take avoiding... Just... Not even taking avoiding action, just couldn't turn left particularly well. Yeah, look, he can't turn left. So even though that looked like it was an intentional pit minute, that wasn't the case at all. He just simply can't turn left. Which unfortunately for David Lehman, that's really sort of put a spanner in the works for him. So there's going to be no more moves.
Yeah, he's had to tow.
Yeah, he's had to tow. Brett Bones is back out on track, but he is a lap down. And
in the middle of all of that, Seb Brown's taken the lead.
Do you know what? This is a very good spot. I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, and Singleton's got himself up into 2nd. Warner's sitting in 5th, challenging Notto, who was our pole sitter. And making this, is he going to
I think the
take
move's
the
already
inside
done.
line? Looks like he's taking,
Move is already done. The thing that Warner needs to do is just make sure he keeps it on the inside, but doesn't lose too much momentum. Yep, Warner does make that move. If anything, I thought he might try and make a move going into turn 3 on the number 12 of Justin. Doesn't make it, but he's taken a wider line. So he might decide that he wants to have a bit of a look. Nope, nothing going into turn 3 or turn 4. But looks like it's going to be a move waiting to happen. Warner's quick. Like Warner is actually
He
one
is.
of the, I think he's the third quickest driver on track at the moment, looking at our delta, looking at the times that we've got in our timing tower. So he is really shifting at the moment. But you can see on your timing tower on the left-hand side, battles all up and down the field. So for those of you that are watching for the very first time, if the number that you can see on the timing tower, if it's yellow or that yellowy orange, that's less than a second between the drivers. If that gap or if the color is that darker orange, that's less than half a second. So you can really see, again, just really quickly visually, who is the gaps that are really, really close. I think we're going to try and queue up some replays here, actually.
Okay, yeah. Well, I would say Matt Warner is always one to watch. I mean, he has won the last 3 leagues that we've held with good reason. He's very consistent. He's a very good technical driver, and he puts in the work as well. You know, he puts in the work, and you can tell.
Well, that's
now,
a huge
what do we
thing.
got going on here? We've got, I mean, we've got two
hello.
moves on here.
There's a couple, as you said, a couple of moves there. So we've got the number 12 and the number 11, and then just behind, we've also got, there's going to be 2x2 once again. Is it going to be the 11 and 12? Warner does make the move on the inside. I mean, Justin nearly put a win in the grass then, but that is going to be a position. He manages to keep it, though. That is a position he's going to have to give up unless he tries to... Nope, he doesn't make that move. So, doesn't make the cutback. So, Warner does make that move. He's now up into the podium position. He's now up into P3. We shouldn't forget about Seb Brown and Joel Singleton. They are still... There's only 0.3 of a second between the two. So, we're going to keep an eye on that. But I do have one of the first... This was the incident at the start. So...
Okay.
That's not the incident at the start. This is the incident at the start. So let's see what happened here. I think we're going to... Is it just going to be a 2 going into 1? It just doesn't really fit? Yeah. But do you know what?
Yep, just squeezed him down.
Oh, Brett made a gamble.
He did.
Yeah.
He picked the wrong side. Tossed a coin.
Yeah. Tossed a coin.
It
Didn't work
down.
for him, unfortunately. If anything, let's see if we can find a slightly different camera angle. I would also actually quite like to see if we can...
see the onboard maybe if we can.
If we can see the onboard, which I... there we go. So...
Yep.
It looks like Jamie turns... Again, hard to see from that angle. But yeah, there could have been, if everyone was inch perfect, there absolutely could have maybe just made it with some contact. But, you know, it's really hard to make that... to make that assumption in the hindsight. Actually, we're gonna look at the replays in a second, but Singleton does make the move for the lead going into turn 1, manages to make it stick. Seb does take that wide line, which you can do because these cars, like we've been saying, they're momentum based, so you can make the move. There's a little bit of a battle further down, which we need to keep an eye on, but we just wanted to touch on the leaders for a brief moment as we now go back down to Baker. That was it, the number 7 and the number 3. It is indeed. But Jamie Baker, I think, making that move on John Schneebel there. But is John going to have a bit of a look up the inside? He was trying to look on the inside of turn number 4, but didn't quite
Distract him, I think. Yep. Oh, but he's got in the weeds.
Big moment. That's a big moment. Is he going to keep his foot in? I thought, is John going to keep his foot in? Nearly. He still might do, actually. I think John's got this if he manages to outbreak Jamie going in.
He's got his nose ahead, hasn't he?
Last of the late breakers, I don't know. Unfortunately, Baker still manages to keep it, but that was an interesting bit of a battle. What's happened to Daniel Lewis, though? Not entirely sure what's happened to Daniel Lewis. Is he had a little bit, maybe some internet connection? So we'll try and keep an eye on him.
That's a shame.
This battle is still really going on. Schneebel right on the back of Baker there, trying to force him into a mistake. Nothing yet, though. Jamie Baker holding firm, and I think that is a position that we can comfortably say is done and done for the time being.
Well, we'll see if he can force him into braking a little bit later here by being and Schneebel can get back on the gas earlier. There's a chance. There's a chance up into turn 1.
But you know what? I think he's done it.
Got the apex. I think he does as well. He forced Baker wide there in the last corner.
So it's going to be 2x2 once again. Who's going to have the better run going down into turn 1? I tell you what, it's going to be close. It's just going to be last of the late breakers, isn't it? If Schneebel can make it round the outside and really just sort of pin the throttle, he might be able to make the move going into turn 3.
That was nicely done from Baker, though.
Really nice. Yeah, really good defending.
To keep control when he was so far offline. That was nice.
It really was. But Schneebel's come back. Look at that. He did what did what I said. He manages to just hold it. Really just pinned the throttle out of turn 1. Got the drive through 2. Manages to make it into 3. Look at that. What a cracking bit of battling between these two. Nice and sensible.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nice and fair. That was fantastic racing between those two.
Absolutely. And then we've got Lewis and Notto. Here we go, pushing each other down the track.
So it was, I think Lewis just had
Is
a
he
little
gonna
bit
have
of
a look?
internet connections. Sorry.
Yep. And he's done it on the inside there.
That's
That's a brave place to make the move, and because it does force you too wide through here, and there's as we saw, there's not generally too wide. It's one line. They've sorted themselves out, and Lewis. It is, isn't it? It's Lewis.
It is, yes. Thomas Notto, Daniel Lewis. Yep. The very bright purple and green
the blue and
livery.
yellow, purple and green.
Very striking livery there's one of the more striking liveries that we've seen. Up the front, though, Seb Brown is really giving Singleton a run for his money.
He really is keeping him very honest, isn't he?
I mean, that gap was,
but
what,
you see,
5
now
seconds?
we've got a half-an-hour race here, and we still have those 60-degree track temps. So the more they fight, the slipperier it's going to get for them. So let's see.
That's a very interesting
Let's see
point.
how they deal with that.
As we go back down to Thomas Notto and Daniel Lewis once again, as they go into turn 1
Switching
side by
positions
side.
and back again.
Yeah, I think Lewis is going to hold the outside. Notto
Can
does
he
maintain
do
that
the
position.
cutback?
But look at Schneebel, though. He might have a look on Lewis on
Yeah.
the inside of turn 3. Nothing. No, I think he decides.
And this is potentially going to bring Baker back into things as well.
So this is a four-way battle, effectively, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, it could be very quickly because Notto is backing the pack up because he's taking defensive lines. Again, he's entitled to do so, but that's actually might be ultimately causing him more problems because if he's rather than just having 1 or even 2 drivers that are going to be hassling him, he's got potentially 3 in the form of Baker that's coming back up. So, yeah, it's all well and good defending, but, it could actually be a detriment if you defend too much.
Absolutely, absolutely. Or it could absolutely work to his favour and the 3 behind start fighting each other and let him scarper up the front, which is what we saw with, I think it was Warner in the first race, with Uros and... No, it was Uros and
Was
Lehman.
it Uros and Warner, wasn't it?
Uros and Warner that let Lehman escape slightly, wasn't it? And so with Baker, let's see what's he got through here. Are these guys going to hold themselves up through the last corner? Give Baker a bit of a run into turn 1.
This is what we're thinking. The Baker's just a little bit lazier on the throttle. Just sort of, you could see the front end just didn't really grip as much as he wanted to, and that just caused him just to back off a little bit. Tried to get on the power. Yeah. You could hear actually, he tried to get on the power, didn't quite make it work, and he had to back off, then reapply. So he didn't really capitalise too much, but he was still looking on board. I think this is a perfect camera angle, and that's really let him catch up. He does go a little bit deep into turn 1, but he has caught up a little bit. The gap is nearly under a second, and the more that the battle keeps happening up ahead between Schneebel and Lewis, which again, at this point, Baker's got front row seats to what's happening ahead of him, so he can just almost chill at this point, just let the people, let the drivers battle ahead of him. And look at him, he's not even doing anything. He's not trying to catch them. It's just happening because they're battling so aggressively.
Yep, they're coming back into him, which is fantastic from his point of view. He can look after his tyres, do what he does, take the lines he usually takes, and just the fight will come to him, and he'll be able to pick things off because they're going to try and go too wide through here. These guys are going to be fighting. They're going to, there we go, look too wide up the hill. Is that a little bit of a side-to-side contact there? These guys are playing fast and loose. These guys, they all want it. It's going to get juicy, I think.
It's great for us though because we have lots more to commentate on.
Fantastic. Absolutely, it's fantastic.
If this is going to be like this for the next 15 16 minutes, then I'm certainly not going to be complaining. Once again,
absolutely not.
Jamie Baker was still riding on board, and again, like you said, he's just able to, that was much better though. You could hear, got on the power, the front end did what he wanted it to do, let him just really apply that throttle and try and get as much of a drive as he could. So like I said, yes, Baker's still got front row seats, and he's still managing to just, like I said, he's not trying, especially, like he's not really taking as much as he can out of his tyres. He's just doing what he needs to do, and he's just playing into the hands. The one thing I would say, though, is Notto is taking a little bit of time. He's got a bit of a break now. The gap between himself and Schneebel, the number 3, is now about 7/10 of a second. So he's really got a little bit of breathing room, has Notto. But Baker now hassling the back of the number 74, Daniel Lewis. It's really just making sure, see if he can get a good run. So, I mean, at this point, we may as well see if we can just stay on board here and see what Jamie is able to do at this point.
Yeah, we should. And I'm looking into my crystal ball here. We've got Huzjak, who's come out of the pits, and he's lapping 2 seconds a lap faster than both of these guys. Than all 4 of these guys, I should say. So, at the end of the race, 16 minutes time.
Oh, no!
Oh no! And he's lost the back end.
Oh, Jamie had but did he run in? Did he sort of? Did he expect Lewis to break where he did? I mean, it doesn't look like he would have had damage from that, but we're gonna have to look back and see what happened from a different camera angle. It looked like, I think he just maybe wasn't expecting how quickly he was going to catch up to the back of Lewis's car there, and just had a bit of a moment. That's a shame.
That concertina. I think everybody obviously braked slightly earlier than the car in front, and he was just caught a bit short, I think.
Certainly was. We'll go and have a look at that replay in a second. You can just see on the back of shot there there is Jamie Baker, but Notto, he did have a little bit of a gap. That gap has now diminished to only about 0.4 of a second, so not entirely sure what's happened there. He must have had a little bit of a moment, but this is now also Lewis and Schneebel are going to be side by side going down into turn 1. This might once again play into the hands of Notto, but he does go defensive. Is Lewis going to try and make this? He's not going to make this round the out. Oh my goodness, what was that? Round the outside. Oh, he's just run too wide.
Too far around the outside, yes.
Oh, too much. It looked like he absolutely nailed both, nailed that entry, but just ran a little bit too much. I wonder if he, I mean, again, the ABS must have been screaming at that point because the car just didn't look like it slowed down for the last 50 yards.
Absolutely. And this car, it does understeer. You know, there's not a lot of weight in that front end. It's rear-engined, and there is a very limited amount of grip, especially when they did just touch. Yep, I think it took him by surprise.
Yeah, I think it's just Lewis braked a little bit earlier than Baker was expecting, or Baker just braked a little bit too late, yeah, that was unfortunately nothing that Baker could have done there. That was unfortunately self-inflicted. As we now go once again back to this battle, the closest battle that we've got on track at the moment. You can see in the top, you see on the timing tower, Brown is keeping Singleton, keeping him honest to a little bit, but that gap has nearly broken to a second. And generally, you'll probably notice this again if you watch Real World Motorsports, that sort of second gap is really where it starts to make a difference. You'll notice that once that gap ticks over a second, which it has literally just done as we're talking about it, that seems to be a bit of a catalyst. And, you know, the draft sort of becomes a little bit less once you get beyond that second gap. And we might now see Singleton start to pull a bit more of a gap.
I think we will, and he'll be able to give him his tyres a bit of a break. And we've got another move on here, looking around the outside, but no, going to cut back. No, there's no space to cut back either. He's just going to tuck in and follow him through into turn 3, and then let's see. Takes a much wider line into turn 4. No, that's turn 3, isn't it? Sorry.
This is coming into turn 4 now. So is Schneebel going to make the move? I think he is going to, but it's going to be side by side once again. But oh, geez, not even going to be side by side. Notto just let the move go. Nope. That was it. Done and done.
Well, I think he didn't want to well, you could, being generous, he didn't want to compromise himself too much. That's a if you compromise, that corner there marks the start of the straight. Even though there's 3 more corners before it really, that's where you want to be getting down onto the power. And if you miss the point, if you miss the point of getting on power there, then you're going to really compromise yourself, and you'd have dropped back into Lewis's into Lewis's sights, I think.
That's very true. Notto was taking some small liberties with the track limits there, but manages to keep it going.
Just a couple.
I'm using all of the track and a little bit more. What that has sort of kept, I mean, the gap now from Schneebel to Notto is actually the same as Notto to Lewis now, pretty much. So this gap has opened up somewhat, and as we were talking about it, literally last lap, we can see now that gap has, opened up between Singleton and Brown to that 1.6 seconds. So that really has started to open up a bit of a gap. Interestingly, though, as you mentioned, it's 2 or 3 laps ago now, one of the drivers that we would have to look out for, and someone that we're going to be jumping on, hopefully, going on board with in a few moments' time, is Uros Huzjak, because he is catching Firmino at a rate of knots.
He is. He's going very fast, and actually, Brett Bones, even though he's out of touch at the back there, he's just gone purple. He's put the fastest times in. Just quickly looking at the front, I think Seb Brown is really struggling with his tyres. I think he's very much overcooked his tyres. I'm just having a quick look on a different feed further up the field, and he seems to be really struggling for traction. But coming back to where we are watching. Let's see what
goodness.
Oh,
that was a little bit.
That was a jump scare there.
That was. Yeah. Daniel
Where
Lewis
did
trying
that
to
come
make
from?
trying to turn this
Yeah.
turn this race into a horror film. That was, as you said, that was a bit of a jump scare, wasn't it? We probably won't get I don't think we're going to get a replay of that, but it just looked like. Wow. Now, interestingly enough, what might happen is I wonder if Lewis is. He might sit behind Notto for a couple of laps and just make sure that, because I mean, Lewis braked what looked like significantly later than Notto did, and he still managed to get it stopped. So I wonder if that's going to be the move that Lewis is going to make on Notto, or the number 87, going into that as we come into, what's that, turn 7? I think that's going into turn 7. That could be the move that Lewis makes. I think that's going to be my call if he can get up to the run, because I think Thomas was braking quite a bit earlier there than Lewis. So that's okay. That might have been a touch of moving under braking, but no contact was made, so no harm, no foul there. But actually, look at Huzjak. He's taken, what's that, half a second, just nearly a second on Firmino that last lap. So this move that we can see, this is the battle now for P9. This is, I would say, comfortably a done deal for Huzjak if he can get the drive. It might be, I mean, there's 9 minutes left. I'm not going to rule out. Okay, it's going to be quite hard for Huzjak to catch up with Jamie Baker, depending on the lap times. We'll have to keep an eye out and see what those lap times are. But with a bit of battling, I mean, nothing is out of the cards yet.
No, I think we've still got some. I think we've still got some life left in this race. Absolutely. Brown's falling back into Warner. We've got Lewis and Notto, less than half a second, just keeping each other very much on their toes. And then we've got this battle here with Huzjak pushing Firmino around.
I wonder how long it's going to be before Huzjak does make the move on Firmino. My guess would be...
I'm going to say turn 1, I think.
Exactly. It's going to be turn 1, isn't it? If he can get the run, which we'll keep an eye on him. We'll just stay on board if we can. Yeah,
looks like he's giving him a little bit of space, giving himself space to get on the brakes now and get on the gas now. And let's see what he's got. Oh, a little bit of sideways. Yeah,
a little bit of sideways, So, but you can see, like I said, the car hooked up really nicely. So this could very well be a done. Is Firmino going to go defensive? Almost certainly he will go defensive. Huzjak has to go the long way round. But this could be done and dusted before we even get to turn 1 as we go now to the TV camera. Firmino isn't going to let it go that easily. He tries to make a move and unfortunately just gets caught out a little bit with the braking zone. I mean, Huzjak took some pretty good avoiding action there.
I think he saw the torpedo coming and managed to avoid it.
Yeah, I think Firmino just obviously tried to brake as late as he possibly could. But the problem is when you're on a tighter line like that, it really does just makes everything a little bit harder to do, doesn't it? If you're really taking that tighter line and you're trying to brake at the same point as you would on the normal racing line, that's really difficult to do because you're just going to be asking more of the tyres because you have to turn more. But if you're braking later, it's just can go all sorts of wrong, as we saw there, unfortunately.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're unsighted as well on your normal markers. If you're used to, seeing that number 1 board off your left front, which is where I would say is the braking marker, is that number 1 board going into turn 1. If you're used to seeing that off your left front, and then suddenly it's all the way over on the other side of the track, your angles are a bit wrong, and it's very, very easy to brake, even though you need to brake earlier, and you want to brake later to defend, and then you brake even later because you're unsighted on your braking marker. And that's when that happens, and you just go very deep and very, very long. So what do we got here?
This is Notto and Baker. So this is still a battle that we need to keep an eye out on. I mean, Lewis is up ahead, as we can see. The car in front, Daniel Lewis, the number 74. I'm looking at Notto and Lewis. Their time is actually. I tell you what, we've actually got a couple of things that we probably should be looking at here because Notto did go off the track. Let's see if we can find a little bit of a replay of what went on there.
Yeah,
was there a little bit of contact? No, I think Notto. They both did. So both Notto and Lewis decided to go for a little bit of grass cutting.
Play a little bit of chicken there. They were both trying to outbrake the other one and outbrake themselves.
Yeah, because I was just looking on the timing tower and I was like, what? Their last laps were both pretty slow. So, and that did allow Jamie Baker to catch up, but Notto seems to have re-pulled that gap, actually. Christ, Joel Singleton just put in a 34 on that lap.
I know.
So he is he's just motoring. He's managed to look after his tyres as an absolute treat, isn't
He has. He has, yeah. He drives this car a lot. I think it's his go-to.
Okay, that makes more sense.
Yeah, yeah, he does. He does drive this car a lot. I know that. It's his go-to sprint car. He does endurance racing and he does the GR86. You know, so I think he's got it dialed. He's got it dialed in, even on a hot.
That's fair. I mean, you know, again, when you're, you know, if it's something that you're comfortable with and you enjoy doing. I mean, the 86 is. I know when the 86 came out, it's a little bit of a. I don't know how to just. I can't remember what was wrong with it. Was it either too stiff or it just didn't feel like it should have felt? Because it's been out what, 2 years now, 2.5 years. Might be around that sort of time. I remember there were problems with it. People weren't too happy with it when it first came out, and that seems to have settled now. When this, like I said, just seems to be an incredibly popular car. But yeah, I mean, Joel Singleton being a specialist in this car does certainly track. He's actually just put in a purple sector 2, 20.02, which is a good tenth of a second faster than really anyone. 0.2 of a second faster than anyone on track currently, just in that sector alone. So he's really starting to push. Joel Singleton actually and Seb Brown, the only two people manages to get. Well, actually, Brett Bones, manages to. They were the only 3 drivers that managed to get 34s. But Joel Singleton's the only driver in the 34s, and by a long way.
I'm very sorry about that. I just had a power cut. Everything turned off, and then everything turned back on again.
Okay.
Yeah, so
that's fine. Luckily, I was getting too carried away with hearing my own voice. So, but okay, good. Glad you're back. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, no real developments. Really, the only thing is just Joel Singleton just setting purple sectors with tyres that are nearly 30 minutes old.
Yeah.
Which seems to be the norm, as from what you were saying.
He's a quick racer. It's a shame that we couldn't get Bones and Lehman up there to challenge him, really, and Warner. You know, they squabbled between themselves and let him run away with it again, because that would have been some exciting racing.
Why is Jamie Baker in the pits? Has he got a drive-through penalty for incident points? He might very well have. Do you know what? I think he has. I think he's got a drive-through. Yeah, too many incident points. So. Jamie Baker, unfortunately, losing, P4 he started. Unfortunately, he's now running around in P10. I don't think there's going to be much change from there because Brett is 35 seconds behind. So not really much that's going to be happening for him in the last couple of laps as we go into the final couple of laps of this 30-minute race. In fact, I think we're only going to have one more after this. So this very well be the penultimate lap of the GR86 Community Special Event by Trophy.ai. Joel, again, putting another Sector 1 PB. He's just showing off at this point, isn't he?
I think so. Just showing what he can do. So, if you're out there and you're watching this and you want to give him a challenge, come to the next one.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, we seem to have really good reception of this already. So what we're hoping is to be doing more of these broadcasted events. It could be in the form of endurance events, could be in the form of more of these type of one-off community events. You might do some little bit of more interesting combinations. We will see. But yes, it's been really, really good fun. Rue, actually, thank you very much for joining me on the broadcast. It's nice to have some company. And considering, this is your first time ever doing this stuff, very well done. So, absolutely perfect there. This has been a really, really fun event. Thank you to everyone for watching, and thank you to obviously all the drivers for driving. So, we might be able to have a chat with a couple of them. We'll see how time is, and if anyone is able to jump in, we might be able to have a chat with a couple of the drivers here. So, we'll see how we go. But a few more corners to go, and Joel Singleton will be taking 2 of 2 wins here, both the sprint about sort of 40 minutes ago now. And coming down into the final straight, Joel Singleton, couldn't really ask for a better race, really, for him. Manages to work his way from P8 on the second feature, on the main feature race, as he goes across the line to take victory for the feature race. Seb Brown manages to take P2. Fantastic race from him after starting in P6. and unfortunately just couldn't hold anything to Singleton there if his tyres started to drop off. Matt Warner takes the final podium position in P3 after making up 9 positions. So Matt Warner started all the way down in P12, so did really, really well coming into the feature race. Number 12, Justin Fafinger in P4. We'll actually do the rest of the grid once everyone has crossed the line. As we got Huzjak, I mean, considering that as he goes, okay, nearly had a bit of a moment there on the very final corner, but he does manage to keep it all in check. So Huzjak, it wasn't the race really for him. It's just a couple of incidents, and it just didn't really have, just a shame that he didn't really do what he was really hoping to do in that feature race, but he had some insane pace. Like I said, one of the only other drivers that certainly would have been challenging for that the sort of podium positions. As Firmino comes into the across the line as well. A couple of more drivers to go. There is Brett Bones. Managed to, again, another insanely fast driver. Just didn't quite work. He managed to get caught out just earlier on the very first lap, actually. So, but here are your results. Again, apologies for the small issues that we have with the overlays. So this are your main results. If we actually go to the correct results, where are they? Here they are. So here is your the official results after everyone has crossed the line. Joel Singleton takes the win. Seb Brown in second. Matt Warner in third. Justin Fafinger in fourth. John Schneebel in fifth. Daniel Lewis P6. Thomas Notto in seventh. Euros Huzjak takes P8. Francisco Firmino takes 9th, and Jamie Baker rounds out your top 10 after that unfortunate drive-through in the final closing laps. Brett Bones 11th, David B. Lehman in 12th, and then Alan Davies and Jesse Chase unfortunately not starting. Wow. I think, do you know what, Rue? That was really, I thoroughly enjoyed that.
So did I. Yeah, I'm back. So I got cut off right when you were saying very nice things about me. So thank you very much. I didn't just ignore you. I
was going to say, I'll carry on talking then, shall I? No.
Yeah. So, so thank you very much for that. It has been a great time. I've really enjoyed it. Long may, or hopefully there'll be more in the future. And yeah, I think as you said, it's a shame we didn't get to see, Brett and Dave Lehman putting in some lap times up at the front. But I think there was some great battling, as you said again, all the way up and down the field. I think, it's not just about challenging Joel. I think there was some fantastic battles.
Well, and that's the thing. That's what we like, isn't it, as well? Everyone, we do want to make sure, obviously, that there are lots of, we want to make sure that we are focusing on everyone. We don't want to necessarily just be focusing on sort of everyone. Well, we don't want to be focusing on just the top 3. We want to be focusing on really everyone that we can that's having some good battles. It's all the way up and down the field. That's a big thing for us. And like I said, all being well, we're going to have some more of these type of events. We're going to be able to do a lot more of this in the future, and really just the more that people talk about this stuff and the more people that express their interest to want to see more of this, the easier it is for us to be able to do this, right? So please, as much as you can, join the Discord, get involved, put on social media, everything that you possibly can to make sure that we can hopefully do more of these. We've got some very, very big plans for certain stuff that we would like to do in the future.
It's exciting to hear. That's very exciting to hear.
I know, it's very exciting to hear. So hopefully
it is.
They will all come to fruition. But yes, Rue, I mean, closing statements from yourself.
Closing statement for myself. I think as a first event, I think this was very, very, very positive. I think we had really, for the most part, very, very good, clear racing. I think where we had some incidents, they were as a result of racing, rather than anything more nefarious, which is always fantastic. We had battles all the way up and down the field, and I am just really looking forward to the next one already.
Absolutely, as am I. And yes, as I said again, Rue, thank you very much for joining me in the commentary box. Thank you to everyone that was watching at home, and thank you to all of the drivers that were participating. And the next one that we do, hopefully we will have more people on board. Again, make sure to get involved with Trophy. If you're watching Trophy and you're learning about Trophy for the first time, there is a link in the description of this live stream below, which you can go and try Trophy. You can try Trophy for free, and you can also get 12% off of your subscription. So make sure you go and check that out. But until next time, everyone, thank you very much for watching. Take care, stay safe, and we will see you in the next one.
For the upcoming right-hander, brake 30 meters later and ease off the pressure.